Hello, friends. I am Eric. I'm the host of the television program that just had some technical difficulties, but decided to come back and begin live streaming again because I don't really like it when I don't want to stop live streaming and I go, well, I'll just stop since it just ended. I didn't want to stop live streaming, so I said, well, I've already used up my shit ton of video today, no more notifications thing anyway, so what's the harm? For one thing, this is minor matter. I'll get to the title in a second, but for one thing, I had to show everybody when I got back from the bathroom. Nobody's here to see, so I should really just save it for a second. You know what? Someone might watch the stream later. See, all the lighters end up the one place we don't use lighters. Inside the house. I found 5 lighters in there.
Oh my god.
That's where all the lighters go. So anyway, now here's some lighters. So what about this title, Eric? Are you being catfished? Well, what this is in reference to is actually, I guess, some sort of fallout, ideational fallout from the Formal Hop thing. Which is to say, if you are an NI Dom, probably especially if you're an INTJ, you're going to see me as vulnerable to a specific kind of catfishing scenario. So let's say there's a random person who comes around named Santiago Phoenix. I don't know, Santiago Phoenix. And they present themselves as Santiago Phoenix and portray a certain kind of interaction style and are consistently that interaction style. Okay. It is a terrible name, but I'm not naming people by names that I think are good, but the kind of names that people often have. You're right. When you're right, you're right. Legends Fall. When you were right, you're right. Phoenix Santiago is much better. Yeah, I saw it. Ryan. Rachel and I were waiting for it to drop. Waiting there at Crunchyroll, looking at the countdown timer. So it was great. It's over so fast. It's over so fast. That's a series I may, when we're all done with it, I may very well suggest maybe we should rewatch this whole thing because it's so goddamn good.
I think we should because there was a gap in time where we were waiting for the final season to show up.
That's true. So anyway, let's imagine this person who comes around in Phoenix Santiago, and they've got an icon that is like Legends Fall. Like Legends Fall has what I would consider a normal kind of icon, as I consider it, which is some random thing yellowish. I can't see what it is. It looks like a turd on a yellow background or something. I don't know what your icon is, but that's what I think about most people's icons. It's something meowish on something meowish. Occasionally someone will stick out, like it'll be like a little man or something, and then maybe I'll make a note that I'll start thinking, or like Octavia Silva's bear, right? I might draw the association with that bear, but with the name Octavia Silva, but it won't. Even if I draw the connection between the picture and the name, I don't glean any additional information from the picture, so it's meaningless to me, basically. The only information, therefore, I glean from the picture thing, the little circle, is whether they have an icon, like Legends Fall, or whether they don't have an icon, like Rain. So if they don't have an icon, but they're consistent across time, then I just assume that, like Rain, they're Just somebody who doesn't have an icon. It just has the letter. But if somebody comes in who's new and they don't have an icon, that makes them automatically more suspicious, right? So I think that NI-DOMs worry about the following scenario. Somebody coming in here who's like, it's actually, let's say it's actually Becky, but she's consistently presented herself as Phoenix Santiago, and she's sort of earned my trust. And then, but then really, all she's doing is with the topic she's talking about and the kind of things she's saying in the chat, all she's really doing is prompting the YouTube algorithm to punish my channel or something. So that would be an INTJ scenario that would cause INTJ to object to my trust affording of something. So it is possible that that somebody could do that. And if they portrayed themselves as authentically enough in ownership of their wrongnesses and engaged with me authentically enough about those wrongnesses to make me think that it was worth spending time discussing them with them. The thing is, as far as I'm concerned, if in fact there's something that needs to be talked about in general in society, and somebody comes here representing that wrongness, it doesn't really matter if they're a real person or not. In other words, I believe them means I believe it's like saying I believe an actor on screen. I believe him playing that character or something. So when I believe in a character that an actor portraying on a screen, I can believe that I know what that character is likely to do, consistent with what their behavior has been, right? Oh, you added an O. That is pretty clever. Fits right in there. It makes you look like a chemical element. Which chemical element is JO? Jordium oxide?
Yes, I believe so. Hello, Kitty Badger winner. Did Daddy let you out?
No, Eric, if it were Jordium oxide, it'd be capital J, capital O, and a little 2. It's the LHC, the Limited High Ability Corporation. What's Gadsden Flag? Is that a good name as well? Gadsden Flag. Gadsden Flag is a pretty good name. I agree. So here's the deal. It's like one of the big reasons why it doesn't matter if somebody is, this is the thing. You call this video intellectual or ideational fallout from the fumble hot instance. I've been trying to figure out what it is that specifically that's not the only instance of it, okay? Nobody's catfishing me, okay? The point is, people often think someone is, though. Okay? In other words, a lot of times people come in here and let's say they're brand new. They're sort of, everyone takes bets on whether they're a troll or a real person, right? It's just kind of how it goes around here. But if you're an INTJ, there's a decent chance you're concerned about a possibility that's much more nefarious than that, which is to say somebody who's committed to presenting a fake identity that's friendly while concurrently doing sabotage style damage behind the scenes. Well, the point being, I guess, that if I'm being catfished, then I'm putting myself at risk to enemies, so to speak. And I do have enemies, surprisingly. I wouldn't. It shocked me to hear myself say that right now, yeah. But because it sounds so like cartoon book, comic booky. But I do have people who are definitely my enemies and out and like trying to get me. Now, what does trying to get me mean? It just means things like trying to report my videos and thumbs down them and just being spiteful across the board in general and harm doing and stuff. But so the thing is, it's like if I were to try to get an INTJ to sort of lose faith in me, it would be via NI ignoring, because they'd say, look, you're ignoring this legitimate risk, and you can't be both taking something serious and ignoring such a serious risk, which is fair. But the thing is, I'm not ignoring it. The way I go about things in the world means it doesn't matter. So let's say that Phoenix Santiago is, again, I'm just saying this line of thinking is ideational fallout from that incident. Okay. I'm not saying making any such claims at all. I am simply saying, presenting a possible scenario that I've ideated as a consequence of. Oh, is that what that flag's called? I never knew what that flag was called. For everybody's reference, in case you get it in a trivia question or something, this "Don't Tread on Me" snake flag is called the Gadsden flag.
What's the Gadsden flag mean?
Is that flag with a snake that says "Don't tread on me"?
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Why is it called the Gadsden flag?
Because maybe Mr. Gadsden came up with it. I don't know. Why is it called the Gadsden flag is the question here. But it's like now you don't have to call it the "Don't Tread on Me" flag with a snake on it.
Oh, that's good.
TIL, as they say in the, I believe, Reddit community is where that originated, maybe, or where it's most known to be from.
Well, I don't know that.
TIL means today I learned.
Oh, yeah, of course that would be on Reddit.
Christopher Gadsden made the flag. Yeah, it's Mr. Gadsden's flag. That's why it's called the Gadsden flag.
You extroverted.
TIL. Again, the reason it's named the Gadsden flag is because it was made by Christopher Gadsden, of course. Why else would it be called that? I lure trolls in by pretending to be dumb and get them to admit you have to be stupid. Then you surprise them. They freak out and don't know what to do. I mean, are you describing what I do or advocating a good course of action? I'm not sure. Gadsden flag. Okay. Gadsden flag. I think logical fallacies are TI poison, and trolls tend to be loaded with that. What are we doing in this stream, Chief? Well, look, the point is, I don't want to particularize it I don't want to particularize it too much. Remember, we're talking about a hypothetical situation. So let's say hypothetically that Phoenix Santiago has been here quite a long time. I have come to accept them as that identity because that's the identity they consistently present themselves as. They behave consistently enough that that I have that my intuition never kicks in and says, what's going on here? So I had like a double intuition kick in on Bill Nye. First, I thought he's been so consistent so far. This is an anomaly. Maybe somebody else got in his computer. And then I realized, okay, Bill Nye was the somebody who got on his computer all along, probably after it happened again. Rule 13 against trolls as an anti-troll countermeasure. What's Rule 13? I'm going to learn a lot today, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what Rule 13 is. I mean, I think I do as good a job as can be done, basically, dealing with the whole thing. Well, okay, and see, this is where people who so it's like this. Dealing with trolls badly looks very differently than dealing with trolls well. Dealing with trolls perfectly looks somewhere in between the two. So I frequently get accused of that, and occasionally I'm guilty of it. But the point is, if the troll is raising an issue that I want to talk about and that I have interesting things to say about, then they're actually, I'm not feeding them, they're feeding me. Right? So even if they're just a straw man, I'm going to come in and straw man this stupid idea. Oh, perfect. You've just fed me interesting idea to explain exactly why that kind of idea is bad and what it represents, blah, 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 blah. I want to talk about that kind of stuff anyway. And if, in fact, it gets annoying to me, I should just don't respond to it. Now, it is true that I am not as quick to recognize when I'm getting annoyed rather than just being engaged. So I can sometimes let stuff that's annoying everybody else, especially, or even annoying me, go on for too long. And in those instances, I am making the mistake of feeding the trolls. But, I don't mind that they stay fed, because until and unless they break down, basically. And we've all seen it. If you've been around here a while, you've seen plenty of trolls break down. They come in, they try to be clever, and they get frustrated, and then they copy and paste a block of text, right? Or something stupid like that. Because they keep trying to trap me in some way with something so that they can, aha, I'm a troll, and catch me, but it never works out like that. We should have a community topic veto system. No. You know what? I can tell you this. Anytime you don't like the topic, if you put in all caps next topic, even if I go, yeah, I'm saying on this topic, just watch. In like 30 seconds, I'll segue. I really am a little bitch to my FE, so.
I'm gonna give you a kiss on it. Kiss on the lips.
I love you, my precious angel.
I love you, mine.
I mean, I don't think they're a problem for TI Tool. I don't see any trolls as being a problem here, No, you mean the times when you can't tell when you've gotten to the annoyed point in the discussion? Oh. Scott Steiner, I'm not interested in how the troll feels. Right? That's called doing it well, not perfectly. Okay, next topic. Scott Steiner, next topic, man. That's true. There's times I can't tell when I've gotten to the annoyed point of the discussion. I'm annoyed right now. I'm annoyed with this discussion about my annoyance. I find it annoying. And it makes me want to put either one or both hands on my hips. I'm going to not do it. I'm going to restrain because you guys are my friends. I'm not going to do that to you, but I mean, the thing is, I feel better in general about everything because I feel more clearly now how this channel is like my dominant function. It's both an end in itself and a means to other things, but it'll never be anything but me. And so that's what I mean by I don't care how the troll feels. I do get frustrated with myself when I allow a troll to occupy headspace between streams. By and large, when I end a stream, I'm not feeling like, oh, I got trolled at all. So I don't care how they feel. If they feel like they win, then good for them. We both win, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's not relevant, obviously. What's it relevant to? The thing is, it's only relevant when I allow people to occupy headspace that I don't want them to allow. Like when somebody says something that bugs me, and I'm driving to Smart and Final with Rachel. This is an occasion I remember when I was driving to Smart and Final with Rachel, and I said to her, yeah, I got in my head. I hate that. I hate letting other people lease my headspace. From the viewer's perspective, you're thinking, yeah, but what about us? And I'm like, well, just like I don't care about how the trolls feel, I don't care about how you feel either. So, I mean, it's like I care in the moment how you feel, but not globally. And I only care in the moment when I'm not mad at people. So, U.S. Marshals, bracket, FBI. Okay, they're greater than. What do you mean by that? What's your metric for greatness? Emotional state is the only thing that ever matters, says Octavio Silva. I don't care about how they feel. I don't care about how you feel either, says Eric. What's a greater than symbol called besides a greater than symbol? It's called some kind of bracket, right? Angle bracket? Angle brace for a wall? I don't care about how I feel. I don't care about how you feel. I don't care about how they feel. Okay, so until it's a problem, until it causes me a problem, then I'll do something about it. I like feeling good. I do care about how I feel, I guess, in the sense that I like to laugh. I like to have fun.
You do.
I am boy, man, beard child.
Yes, you are.
Marshall did cool stuff. Okay, so if your greatness metric is coolness, you want a more ESTP, Federal Law Enforcement Bureau. That is not the only name for it. It's got to have another name for it, Octavia. So somebody correct Octavia Silva. Foolish wrongness. The greater than sign has to have another name, doesn't it? Or am I the fool who's wrong? Yeah, it's a bracket, Eric, you fool. You're right to shame me, Octavio. You are right to shame me. That's what I call a well-earned shaming. Alligator mouth. That's what it's called? Well, what's the other one called then? Other way alligator mouth? Alligator looking the other direction mouth? Pac-Man? No, it's called an open bottomed triangle on its side. It's called an open bottomed triangle on its side. That's its formal name. It can't be, its formal name cannot be the greater than sign. There's got to be some one word name for it or something, right? Oh. Other way alligator mouth? So the only names for them are greater than and less than signs? We should just get rid of the thans, right? The greater sign and the less sign. Why the than? When we refer to them in speech, in common parlance. Obviously, when you're talking about using it in a sentence, you add the than. But when you're referring to it as a sign, you drop the than. So the greater sign means greater than. Doesn't that make more sense? I think so. Let's all agree to it right now. Pinky promise.
Pinky promise.
Yes, I know the greater than or equal to sign exists. But you know what? The or equal to part is also called underscore. So I'm asking, what's the top part also called? Boom, boom. That's a knockout blow. If you were the world's greatest ring announcer, you would walk into the ring right now and raise my fist above my head and said, On technical knockout in the 5th round, and still champion, host Eric. Accent grave, accent acute. Are those French things? Is that how you do it, Scott Steiner? Did I do a good Scott Steiner imitation of you being the world's greatest ring announcer? Is that for me, my darling?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, my beloved coffee-giving partner.
You're welcome.
Beloved giver of coffee. Bringer of bananas.
Oh, I have to be ENTP, I forgot.
Lord of the sea. In heaven, the Lord of the Sea is also responsible for providing coffee and snacks. Scott reading Steiner. They're okay. They're not angle brackets. Fine. They're angle braces. I would call them angel brackets because they're the angels of the punctuation family. You don't get the simpy of the people. What's the simpy? What is the simpy?
I don't understand simp. Like totally.
Is simpy the simp is short for sympathy? I think here he means it's short for sympathy.
Oh, okay.
Because it's SYMPY.
Oh, that's different.
It's like saying probably instead of probably.
Oh, probably. God, I used to say that a lot.
All right, simpy. Or library instead of library.
Library.
Except library doesn't save you a syllable, so there's no point in pronouncing it that way. You're having tea and butter, pecan tarts, 69 cuda. That's your art. Delicious. You know what that coffee is? Chock full of nuts.
I like chocolate nuts coffee.
This coffee tastes like inside of a men's jockstrap.
Nutty.
Chock full of nuts. Can you please read 69 cutest comment at 431 out loud for us, Rachel?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm having tea and butter, pecan tarts.
She says pecan too. We were determining how you say pecan. Pecan.
Butter, I sometimes say butter, but I don't mean to. I'm having tea and butter, pecan tarts. Yeah.
I say pecan tarts, but I say pecan pie and pecan nuts. So it really depends on the usage for me.
Well, usage is very important.
Yeah. And sometimes if they put pecans in something other than any of those three capacities, I call them almonds. Other people can be confused by this, but it's my system. I understand it.
Well, that's what makes.
So it makes it useful.
Yeah.
Is my understanding of it. Oh my God. Rachel showed me this Instagram thing with this ESTP chick reading this comment out loud. And I was just like, I have heard that comment so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Can you bring that up on your phone again?
I don't remember what it was from.
It was that ESTP lady who you said who was saying you did tarot stuff or something?
Oh, the ESTP?
The ESTP lady?
No, I thought you said she's an ENTP.
I don't know, whatever you said she was. The one who...
She was ENTP.
Okay, well, I don't know what she is. The point is...
I'm looking for my phone at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you getting a call? Spam risk.
Spam risk.
God, that poor guy.
I know, right?
What an unfortunate name.
Were you hoping it was like Joey from down the block?
Well, I've talked, he's gotten through to me before. And
Joey?
I had to, no, spam risk. I had to listen to a sob story.
Oh.
It's like, it's one thing is bad luck having the last name Risk, but why did my parents have to name me Spam? And I said, well, it was before the internet thing, and they didn't know. They liked the candy meat,
Okay, I'm gonna find it for you here.
All right.
God knows that I've ranted other places though. But I noticed something, and I just wanted to like share this with you. And I don't know if you guys have seen it too. People in spiritual communities, like
Her
say,
name is
astrology,
Alyssa
numerology,
Trahan.
tarot,
The Divine
or
Venus
whatever,
is her.
receive tons of hate comments. And where I totally reserve your right to hate on people who are trying to
here's
give
the
you some
comment coming up soon.
spiritual advice or guidance or leadership. I don't care what you do. I think that you need to stop saying this. My intuition was correct. I knew there is something off about you.
Oh my God. Yes, lady. I don't know how to make that stop now, but yes, lady. My intuition was right. I knew there was something off about you. How many times, if I search on YouTube for the video Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer, I will understand it. Forget about her voice, Valerie Alwood. What she says there, that comment that she read, my intuition was right. I knew there was something off about you. It's like, whatever personality type says that, they don't get that I guess that technique. It's just, well, you can see how mad it made that lady, right? She, of all the ones you're gonna shit on, I think this lady's T.I. Tool. Of all the ones you're gonna shit on, that you picked that comment to shit on. What is she shitting on? She's saying, don't NIFB me in such a weak fashion, basically, because that's all that is, right? It's she's hoping to position what's really a jab to the gut as a reluctant, oh goodness, I gave you a shot, and I was really hoping for you to be an okay person, but my initial fears were right. She's not saying a goddamn thing. The person's not saying anything at all, right? They're just saying, I don't like you. That's all they're saying. And they're trying to make it about you, So you can't use them. Yeah, they're for coding. You can't use them in titles. My head is cold. My intuition was right. There's something off about you.
That's like every astrologer to me. My intuition was right. Your birth chart is full of Yasmin squares. Thanks, it's really helpful.
Right, the come to reality talk. Yeah. Hey, look, I don't normally do this, but I've been watching you for a while, and I want to talk to you about the possibility you may have an executive function disorder. It's like the pathologization, concerned doctor voice or whatever. I read, it wasn't directed directly at me, but I read somebody do that about me it's somewhere online, and it was very much a pathologization of me, saying, and an anthropologization of me. So he was treating me as a subject of his diagnosis and analysis and scrutiny, and saying things like, he's a middle-aged man with ongoing drug issues and executive function disorder, and blah, 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 blah. So poisoning the well with irrelevant bullshit. And then proceeding to he's acting like he's an anthropologist and I'm a savage. this is one technique that people like to use. Probably it was on Reddit, yeah. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, what's interesting is when you Google stuff about me, you'll see me, and you'll see stuff about how terrible I am. And that's about it. So it's not like I do tend to provoke some response, but is it one of those stupid freaking like what's it called? Dopamine management kind of things? Like how to get out of the dopamine addiction. Stop having easy pleasure and do things that are hard and blah, 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 blah. Well, it really depends on your personality type, right? So why is it that today I made the progress that I said I was going to make yesterday on the video that I said I was going to do about ESTPs and how to describe them in without any jargon, basically, as again, just a step towards this larger project is not finalized or whatever. Executive functions basically mean the capacity to make a plan long-term and follow through on it. So depending on your frame of reference, of course, though, is how much that your frame of reference will depend on how accurately you can describe that within your frame of reference. So it's like, do I have good executive functions? Well, I actually am executing long-term plans for sure, but they're not in ways that would suggest I have good executive function in the short term. So depending on how you look at things, depending on how how much meta-analysis you can do, you're going to tend to project your own frame onto things. So it's like somebody who's got TE in the front stack is going to conclude I have executive functions disorders because my nature is fundamentally anathema to TE. TE, once the decision regarding the goal is made, in other words, once the goal is clearly defined, they don't want any more discussion because the goal can't change. Because once you start the process towards the goal, the process towards the goal is a set of ordinal steps towards baking a cake. You can't change in the middle of baking a cake and say, now let's make it into a pie, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody who doesn't understand framing very well because they're an analyst, not a meta-analyst, and who projects their own function bias onto me, namely that because I don't prioritize goal-oriented approaches towards things in general, that I must have an executive function disorder. I mean, that there must be something wrong with me, is going to pathologize me by saying I have an executive function disorder. And they're going to find plenty of things in the literature to support that notion, ignoring the reality that all those things in the literature are also projections of the same function bias, just as all the research on autism spectrum disorder is in fact just a projection of FE function bias. We don't have a label that I know of for ESFP syndrome, but I can guarantee you that they are frequently affixed labels of some sort of learning disability. Why? Because they can't TE at all. They can't TI at all. In fact, not only can't they TI, they don't get even the concept of it. However, I would suggest that they're much less likely to get labeled as learning disabled in the status quo than they were, say, 20 years ago, because in the status quo, TI is less prioritized in an academic setting. I've had a student myself before who had an actual learning disability, which is to say he had essentially 0 SI below even basic operating procedure kind of SI, which is to say he could, if I asked him to memorize 4 lines of a poem, he would repeat them back to me, the gist of what each of the lines said, but he was unable to memorize the words of even 1 line of poetry. and in exactly that order, no matter, you know, we repeat it a bunch of times, and other than that was cognitively normal. And of course his parents wanted me to fix him educationally. I was the director of Kudos, and they probably paid Laura, my boss, a pretty penny to have me personally assess him, you know, not that I saw any of that money because I was salary. But well, I mean, there are two. The NI-DOMs are very different. NI-DOM INFJs are TE autistic seeming. NI-DOM INTJs are autistic seeming. But both of them are just seeming, right? And one is way more visible than the other. Again, we can understand this visibility notion when we talk about, when we look at the functions in terms of how they play a role as the ignoring function in the fifth slot. So when I'm ignoring NI, it means I'm choosing to come up with other possibilities than the obvious one. So frequently, that means that there's going to be data out there, right, that I could choose to get the NI information from. But instead, I choose to, instead of receiving information, I choose to start thinking new information off of my initial glance at it. Oh, I saw 1/1,000,000th of that thing. I'm sure I can intuit the rest, you know? It doesn't surprise me that there are structure differences between people. If in fact there's a geography to functions, which it appears there is, although it's not, you know, Dario Nardi's never going to map it correctly because NFP, not a smart man, you know. I mean, not all NFPs are dumb or anything, but in this, it's, you know, it's like, saying Shaquille O'Neal, not a good gymnast. It's no offense to Shaquille O'Neal. No praise to gymnastics. It's just reality, right? So it's like in this area, well, sure. That's why I'm clarifying, Grogu. That's why I'm clarifying. Okay, in this area of analysis, namely, we're talking about what is fundamentally case building. Case building is best accomplished by people who don't care what is true, right, just blah, 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 blah. Only care about what wins. Okay? Only care about what wins. So in some ways, you would say the NFPs are smarter than the people who don't care about the important things, but only care about what wins. However, on the issue of what wins, those latter people are the correct ones, and the former people are the wrong ones in areas where that's the metric that should be applied. Now, case building is one of those metrics, and cognitive functions and psychology and stuff is all about case building. So what you have is the political equivalent of ideology testers, that is to say, your agenda-driven politics people, but at the academic psychology level doing research and establishing their agendas as instead evidence claims substantiated by evidence. So in fact, they do find evidence that, you see, there are some people who will have this problem called epipolar, but they don't call it that. They don't think of it like that, right? They say there are some people who have this problem. The reason they're concerned so much about that problem is because they are either polar themselves or they are dominant and don't understand what's wrong with those people who aren't like them. But because they aren't a meta-analyst, they can't do that level of analysis. That's the bottom line. They can be a 50 IQ points higher than me. Okay, let's say they have an IQ of 170. I'm not claiming they're not smarter than me. Okay, I'm claiming they're wrong. And it's dumb to be persistently wrong when you are being wrong at swimming and are a bird. Because you're really good at flying, so don't swim. No, my stance is very different from that Octavia Silva. My stance is the definition of autism is at mental retardation. Once the purportedly spectral disorders, keep in mind, I think they're different things that look very similar, okay? But they might be more and less extreme things, different versions of the same thing, but I really don't believe that's the case. Regardless, in other words, I might be a lot smarter than the plumber, but I'm not the one to fix the plumbing. I shouldn't be. I'm a bad person to pick to fix the plumbing. Because sometimes smartness isn't what's important. Sometimes being right is way more important than being smart. In fact, pretty much all the time. So my stance is that there are no such thing as people with autism who don't also have mental retardation. If you've been described as on the spectrum but are not mentally retarded, you don't have any form of autism. That's my position. Right. Grogu points out, my mom is a persistently wrong genius, INFP. And so that's the problem. When I say they're being dumb, or I shouldn't say that really, I shouldn't use that kind of language, but they definitely are damaging civilization, because it's better for people who are wrong to not care, right? Well, a better analogy is this, Legends Fall. If you're smart but wrong, it's like having a really fast car, but living in a place where all the roads are filled with telephone poles. Not only, even if you don't crash, you're not going to go anywhere fast at all. And you're going to have to drive all around in circles and never end up at your destination because it's not made for driving. I agree with you 100%. That's one of my messages as a candidate as well. My position is very straightforward. I'm not going to feed you a bunch of the bullshit everybody else feeds you. My position is, I'm the best candidate. You should vote for me. If you're not going to vote for me, you shouldn't vote at all. And that I'm going to go even further than that and say, if you are going to tap into your real patriotism, then make a decision to grow up and make a grown-up decision about this. Then you will determine you have something of a patriotic duty to vote for me, and to discourage your friends who want to vote for somebody else from voting at all. After all, it's no good to vote for an incompetent child to be president. That's not a good thing to do. That's a bad thing. I didn't vote in either of the last two presidential elections. Why? Because I didn't want either douchebag or turd sandwich, and I wasn't going to pick either of them. I refused to pick either of them. It is not a better idea to eat the less poisonous food when presented with two poisonous options. It is a better idea to reject the food entirely and insist that you be presented non-poisonous options. I mean, okay, well, get rid of the disorder part, okay? Get rid of the disorder and sensory processing thing. Special interests and stimming. I'm stimming right now. This is a form of stimming. I do it all the time. FE Tool, FE DOMs, who go into psychology and lack the meta awareness. So most likely your SFJs or ENFJs are more likely to make this mistake possibly of assuming that the lack of ability to attend to the kind of cues that they themselves see as being the obvious, simple, and easy things to attend to, that those people are going to say that there's something wrong with that because it looks awkward, Eric. There's something wrong with you. You're always bouncing your knee. It looks awkward. Well, let's say instead they said, something's wrong with you. You're always bouncing your knee. That's purposeless. And you're not getting enough purposed work done according to my frame of reference. You have, Eric, executive function disorder. Or let's say, Eric, you've disagreed with me again about something, and you've disagreed with me like 5 times in a row. You have oppositional defiance disorder. In all of these instances, it's vastly more likely that the other person has wrongness disorder. Right? Well, there's also the reality of the euphemism treadmill, which is pathologies will always become insults. So that's just how it is. It's like, first, lame was a medical description of people who couldn't walk. Then it became 1980s insult. No, I didn't participate in any debate. Probably a couple other people. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't want to watch their debate. That's for sure. Unless it's maybe excerpted one of my debates or something. That's fine if you did. I'm not gonna content notice him or anything. He's welcome to do that. If it has me in it, then he's welcome to put it up on his channel. He doesn't have to ask me anything. I don't care.
I feel like your skin is so velvety. I want to like touch it.
Anybody here remember the Velvet Turtle? The Velvet Turtle was, I think, a fancy restaurant. It may or may not have been a chain. I think there was one around here when I was a kid. Or it might be a fancy restaurant from a TV show. I'm not sure if it's an actual memory or it was from a TV show. But there was something called the Velvet Turtle, and I think it was actually around here. Ex-SFJs hate having their logical discrepancies pointed out. One thing that happened for, I think, maybe the first time today or second time or something is Rachel and I watched together a video that included me and Kimberly in it. And it was called, Why the Dave Matthews Band is the worst band in the world. Boy, it put me right back in that spot where everything was a fucking battle all the time. That woman just, it's like I couldn't say a goddamn thing without her shitting on it.
Right away, it was almost like she was ready to defend the Dave Matthews Band, but you could tell she didn't really want to because she doesn't really like them. But she's like, what? You know how people like, okay,
yeah, right.
With me.
I know. It was. I'm sorry, I got distracted all of a sudden, and I was immediately back to Velvet Turtle. Now that I see this, remembering that when fine dining was reigned in Sharon Heights at the Velvet Turtle. That's it. I remember this logo exactly. This green turtle with the that fancy letters.
Oh my God.
This fancy font. Many longtime locals continue to mourn the loss of the Velvet Turtle in the Sharon Heights Shopping Center. Opened in 1970 by Wally Botello, it was the first of 20 such restaurants. So yes, it was a chain. Purchased by the Marriott Corp in 1986, who later sold it to a private investment group. The Menlo Park location, where CVS is now, closed in 1995. We scoured the internet for a photo of the restaurant at the Sharon Heights location, but came up empty. But it does live on through a Facebook page. The menu shown here is from 1978. Oh, look, they have roast rack of lamb, beef Wellington, duck à l'orange. What total 1980s fancy food this is?
Right?
Australian lobster tail. What is this one? Araloni almondoni. Medallions of seafood. Seasonal fish, steak, filet mignon, prime rib and lobster. See, I would have probably gone for the prime rib. I don't see a straight up prime rib here. Just comes with lobster. I would get a prime rib and lobster. Even as a kid, I probably would have gotten. I would eat that. I always have liked lobster. It's
I like lobster too.
It's the one thing out of the ocean I've always liked, even as a kid. It was kind of iffy on crab. I was anti shrimp, but I like crayfish from the freshwater.
I've never had.
And I like lobsters from the ocean.
I like lobster too, with butter. Oh, so good. Such a nice treat too, you know, like it's not something you get every day.
Our search for interior or exterior photos of Menlo Park, blah, blah, blah. Menlo Park location did unearth a rather humorous, in our humble opinion, review of the Velvet Turtle in the Stanford Daily Post in 1982, which could be considered its mid-heyday. Wrote Adam Goodman and Jennifer King. Take excellent food, add a little convenience, mixed with plenty of good service, then drown with an overdose of gaudy atmosphere. Dinner at the Velvet Turtle is a delicious culinary extravaganza. The menu is packed full of scrumptious choices to please even the pickiest palate. The restaurant is welcome haven for any food connoisseur, but surely is not recommended for interior decorators. They further noted, the restaurant was crowded, but we probably saw only one other couple within 20 years of our age. Probably the most discouraging reason for students is the high price. Our dinner totaled $64 with tip. That's about $170 in today's dollars. So yeah, that's an expensive restaurant.
Yeah.
To have dinner for two for $170 right now would be, I mean, I guess the thing is, that happened back when I drank alcohol. So, if you go out and you're drinking too, then your fancy $100 meal at the super expensive restaurant becomes a $200 meal. You get $100 worth of, like get a bottle of wine plus a couple of, cocktails or something, and
You
all of a sudden
you're like Mad Men lifestyle.
Well, yeah, you split a bottle of wine and then you still want a couple more drinks. If you're drunk like me.
No, yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like in Mad Men in the 60s, like drinking was like no big deal. So that's how they drank too.
Yeah, but
fancy places.
The thing is, it's weird. People drank back then, but they were always expected to be sober.
That show shows such great examples of like how like drinking that much is actually bad. Like one scene, there's the main character is at a funeral and he's like drunk so much from the night before because he was just like drinking, and he pukes at the funeral. It's like, whoa, you really see like the damage that alcohol like does to people.
Yeah. Alcohol is a sad drug for me to think about.
Me too.
We're having a humanities project about how single mothers don't have enough money to maintain children, which is why they need more welfare. I managed to come under budget. Then she screamed about how it was impossible. The point was the show was impossible. We ran the numbers and I did it. Hilarious.
You know what I feel like? I feel like you're like the talk show host, right? And like I sit next to you sometimes, but that I'm like the DJ on the side.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like way cooler than any of the DJs that they have on like Fallon or whatever. Fallon has the roots, which is pretty cool.
You know what you should do is talk about And in that kind of situation, the other thing you could do, you did a great job there. That's perfect. But the other cool thing to do would be to spend the whole class accidentally misinterpreting her thing and having all the emotion on behalf of welfare mothers, but talk about how, it's time the dominant elite stop imposing in-kind benefits onto welfare mothers because it incentivizes poverty and all the good arguments, but frame it with all the bullshit framing. That would be fun too. What would she do? She probably wouldn't even recognize that you were disagreeing with her about substantive policy issues and would just recognize the proper trimming and be thrilled. Good job, Scott Steiner. Sounds like a beast. I was kind of a puss in college. Not really puss. It was pre-internet, basically. So I didn't understand it as, I didn't really see it as part of a particular agenda of any sort, like everybody tends to, even though I went to UC Santa Cruz and it was like, that place was like the fucking pioneer of that shit, So I remember I got a low grade on a paper in my gay studies class but it was genuine misunderstanding. So it was like, I was like, okay, so we're watching this movie and you're supposed to talk about like how it's homophobic or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's homophobic because they portray this gay guy as being just ridiculous with all the limp-wristed prancing about and so forth. And it's not necessarily the case that sexuality links to those kind of stereotypical behaviors. And I got in trouble because I'm not supposed to say that. I didn't get in trouble. I got a C or whatever because I'm not supposed to talk shit about the stereotype, but just talk shit about that they're stereotyping, right? So you should have had praise sessions outside the window. Oh, Lord, thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to show the blind the light. Praise be.
Praise be.
For I have sympathy even for the wrongness of those who would purport to teach. And I wish to save their souls from the darkness of their stupidity. Yeah, I wasn't really a puss. I was just, I grew up, like I said, I don't think people who are, say, under 25 can get it at all. What it's like to grow up in a world where there is no larger world. There's just your community. The larger world comprises the newspaper and a few TV channels and the radio, The larger world comprises actual traveling. But as far as people accessible to you, they're the people immediately around you and the people you encounter in ways you have no control over whatsoever as a child. And there is no internet to go find people like yourself. I knew early on-ish that I was kind of different than most of the people. I didn't think it any kind of a proud way at all or take any sort of like satisfaction in it. I felt like mostly that I had trouble communicating with people. I think that people would talk about things and I want to say, so like, what are you trying to get at here? And they generally weren't really trying to get at anything, I guess. It seems to be my also, it's like I was very FE focused, so I was very interested in very worried about my like appearing smart or something sometimes, and like appearing like I liked the right stuff, but then a lot of times I was just too iconoclastic to keep it up, and so I was kind of like schizophrenic in a way in my affect, not my affect, but my like say what clothes I wore, for example, or you know what I said and affirmed and stuff was kind of like all over the place. You know, ENTPs grow up very slowly, and it takes a long time to process all the things that are naturally wrong with us. And until we process it, we're just going to keep being that, you know. So there's a lot of things that are naturally not well suited between reality and the ENTP. I think probably the biggest risk factor for ENTPs is ESFJs, Grogu. ESFJs grow the fastest. What was I saying? Well, there's a sort of a path to optimization that I think exists for each type and is specific to that type. I would never call her Karen, you know. I would, you know, like anybody else in the world, if I had to engage with this person, I would expect them to be a grown up, mean what they say, answer my questions. If they're going to affirm things, substantiate those claims. Oh, her name was actually Karen. What were you supposed to call her? Dr. Poopface or whatever? It's like my clients call me Mr. Strauss, even though I tell them not to. So I have before. You could just call me Eric, you know, or whatever, Strauss or Poopface, or you know. It's like I don't need this formality. It doesn't do anything for me. Basically, is what I try to tell them. If you want to do it because that's just sort of like your way or something, fine. But when you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. Well, I would phrase that a different way. When you surround an army, make sure that there are two ways to win: the ideal way and the safe way you have to default back to. In other words, that may involve leaving an outlet to hedge against your ideal outcome sometimes. But it's a bad idea to think of it as sort of, this might not work, so let's not commit to the plan, I guess. If you're going to war, you're going to make a decision to surround the army or not. If you're making a decision to surround the army, then surround it. If you don't want to surround the army because of the risks involved with that, then don't almost surround the army. Is my take on it. I'm going to disagree with Sun Tzu here. You know, be smart, pick the right decision, and hit it full blast. You might want to hedge a little bit, sure. You might want to give yourself a safe out a little bit, sure. But in that instance, surround means surround. So it's really a binary thing. It's like if you're going to surround your enemy and then close in on them and destroy them that way, then that requires you to surround them. I agree contingency plans are important. So it's like if you said, let's attack from the flank, and said, let's throw all the forces at it from the flank, well, that's not a good idea. Let's send this set from the flank, see how they react, and if we need some reinforcements, as soon as this first attack force encounter this amount of resistance, we'll send in the reinforcements. And then we'll concurrently attack from this angle here. You know, like that kind of thing makes sense. But yeah, who wishes to fight must first count the cost. So it's like, in some sense, Sun Tzu is contradicting himself. It's like, do you wish to surround them or not? Do you wish to attack the flank or not? Yes? Okay. Now, that doesn't mean you have to throw everything at the flank. But attacking the flank is a different kind of creature than surrounding. What does it mean to grow? Oh, yeah. Growth arcs, paths of optimization, as I have called them in the past. So, like, it kind of works like this. It's mostly about okay, your 2 and 3 begin to work together. The relationship between your second and third slot function changes over time, over the course of your life. There were times in my life when I was very anti-FE because it kept getting in the way of TI, and I thought it was the not important stuff that people were paying attention to. There are times in my life when I was very pro-FE, where I didn't care really about TI. I just wanted everybody to be impressed and like me. And then there were times when I tried to compartmentalize that and care about FE in certain circumstances and care about TI in certain circumstances. Ultimately, in terms of a growth arc, I'm best served when they work in coordination with each other. So I'm both correct and also non-contemptuous, inclusive in my tone, friendly, likable, etc. Then being right has a lot more potential to do something good, than if you're it's like that quote from Ray Bradbury. Although I disagree with him on this quote, it's significant to mention anyway, which is, as individuals, all we had was rage. So it's a stupid way to put it, but what I interpreted, because I wanted to mean this, is that if all we do is treat political problems as though we were individuals expressing our preference, then we'll mostly experience two things. Schadenfreude and spite and outrage, It's like Schadenfreude when my team wins at the opportunity to get the other guys, and outrage when the other team wins at their audacity to try to get you. So I don't remember where that analogy was going. A very wise thing is to simulate madness. This course is on Niccolo Machiavelli. I mean, the thing is, we should also remember. I mean, I think people grow in terms of MBTI terms. I think one's Enneagram. If you were going to try to describe it mechanically like that, you'd say you go through phases of. Enneagram says you go through phases of integration and disintegration. So, in other words, 7 integrates when they're more like a 5, disintegrates when they're more like a 1, I think. I think that's what it is. But your intuition knows what's right, so get out of the way, said Ray Bradbury. There's no doubt that Ray Bradbury is a knower. I actually think Ray Bradbury, based just on that book, I would conclude he's an SI dom, probably an ISFJ. Because what's his primary concern in that book? It's not preserving ideation, expression, words. It's preserving books, old ideas that we've already had. That we have to save the past, not that we have to create the future of new ideas, right? So I'd say he's a knower. He also never drove his whole life. He always had somebody drive him around. How ISFJ is that?
That's so ISFJ.
Talk about like lazy. No offense, Oliver Linehan. Okay? No offense. I'm not saying Oliver Linehan's a lazy person, even though he's an ISFJ. I'm just saying all ISFJs are totally lazy. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I think my sister would agree.
What's a catfished? Being catfished is what happens when somebody called Miss Blumpkin comes in and pretends to not know what being catfished is, and the person that they're asking the question to believes their lack of knowledge to be authentic. Then you have catfished them.
I've been catfished before, but I didn't actually like go through with the thing because I had an instinct that I was being catfished. But it's always like the same thing. Like they lure you in with like a false pretense of like who they are, and then they like say like really nice things to like keep you hooked, and then boom, like you want to like meet them or like FaceTime or something, and then that's when like the true like oh I can't now, be nice. And
Right.
then, yeah.
So the point is that regarding the title is that, of course, just to recap for any people who just arrived or whatever, is that I believe there to be people in the world who are concerned and believe me at risk for being catfished in some regard. That somebody could come here and position themselves as a specific identity, maintain that position as an identity, while concurrently being another. It does occur during dating. So, for example, like if I put up a fake picture on my dating profile of me from 20 years ago and lie about my age, and then the girl meets me and she goes, "You look so much older than your dating profile," then she's been catfished, right? Miss Blumpkin probably goes in the former category. I agree with you there. I agree.
Miss Blumpkin, yes.
Yeah, I agree. Although I wish the name was Plumpy Blumpkin.
Ooh, Lumpy Blumpkin. I like that better too.
So Legends Fall, I think you were right. When you said Miss Blumpkin probs goes in. You would have been more right if you said Miss Blumpkin needs a little work to go in to the category of good, but it's not a bad idea. So I've got an advocacy I want to affirm today for you, Miss Blumpkin. Resolved. Miss Blumpkin should change her name to Plumpy Blumpkin. Hi, my name's Eric. Today I affirm the resolution. Contention 1. Plumpy Blumpkin is a better name. Contention 2. Miss Blumpkin is not a bad name. Contention 3. You should have the better name. Next topic. I just came to chat to say that because it's such a good video. I just came to this chat to say that because it's such a good video. Please watch. Can you handle my most threatening aura? Okay. Who's it by? I'm going to check out what it is. So I'm going to have to mute here for a second so I don't get mad. I don't think that is ENTP humor, really. I mean, it kind of is for that age, I guess. It's kind of ENTP-ish for that age, but it seemed more like SFP or something. Well, I tell you what, Miss Plumpkin, why don't you just sit tight, get yourself a yogurt, and I want you to just settle in, listen carefully, and see if the confusion slowly fades away. Because right now you're just making it worse. Just sit down. Shh. Sit. Relax. It's okay. You're in safe hands now. All right. Bowl smoking time.
Yay! Can I join you?
Of course, my darling. I strongly advise it.
Thanks.
There's a bottle over there on the red thing. The one closest to you has a little bit of weed in it, I think.
Okay.
You're correct, Plumpy. Plumpy makes correct observations. Have you guys noticed? I love it when people make correct observations.
Oh.
That's so much preferable to
There's
incorrect observations.
Nothing.
There's nothing. Oh, you know what that means. It's like, is Plumpy, this is exactly what we were talking about earlier, right? They come in, they try, they get frustrated. It's like they give it up so easy. They're like a Catholic girl on prom night. Okay. Wait a second. Like this one, I just gotta kind of squeeze it out here.
Okay.
Plumpy Blumpkins. Okay. Wait, no, there's a little bit more here. Then we'll go to the weed store in a little bit.
Okay.
You're welcome, my darling. It's like so that's why I yeah, she was. Did you see the last thing she said? Did you say pole smoking time? What did I if what I said rhymed with pole smoking time? Is what I said rhyme with it? Then it's theoretically possible I just fall. If it didn't rhyme with it, but so did I say something that rhymed with that? I mean, come on. Do you buy the confusion at All Legends Fall? And the insistence I explain catfishing? I'm so confused about catfishing still. You haven't explained catfished yet. Do you believe that? Do you believe my name is a catfished? Well, earlier they said, I thought catfish was a dating thing. And again, they obviously know really what it is, right? Bowl smoking time. Oh, is that what I said? I think I said it's time to smoke a bowl.
It really is big.
But regardless, the point is, no, they're definitely, the thing is, I tend to let those things play out way past when I'm convinced, because I think it's fun to let them, get frustrated and collapse into a heap. But I have no doubts about me being correct about this one. Now, granted, intuition can be wrong, and my intuition might, but if so, and Miss Plumpkin is still here, then I'm sorry I misinterpreted you as a spike monkey rather than somebody making a joke. And you can always come back as another account if you'd like. But I'm not going to unhide you right now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it would. I agree. Listen, I agree with you. We get thrown out on the grounds that I missed the key connection there, which was I just said something that rhymed that made that potentially a legitimate joke. I agree with you. Okay. So you're right. Because when I read it, I didn't make that connection. I just thought she was saying, "You smoke Paul," as that, because that also is a common insult thrown at me periodically. I've heard that plenty of times. So I agree with you that I did in real time the thing that I accuse people often of doing in turn-based time, which is I took my NI conclusions as definitive when I should have allowed for more definitive clues before I tried to take action based on that NI, because NI doesn't justify action adequately, right? But the mental mistake on my part was honest. Namely, I missed what you might call the legitimizer, which is the rhyme. I didn't get that part. So obviously, since I made a decision while under the false apprehension that I understood the situation, I regret making the decision. And you're right, we get thrown out on appeal. However, also, I'm not going to bother to unhide the person because I still think I'm right. And because of that. Glory holes and bumpkins. Glory holes and blumpkins, The Filthy Diaries of a Truck Stop Tramp Book by Anita Rimmer. Her last name's Rimmer. Paul Van Oberstein, one of anime's finest characters. Is he the counterpart to the Japanese general? The one on the side of the monarchy who's got blonde hair and Mia's the Mew on the Mia, and who isn't worried about anybody but Yang? Well, he'll be fine. Unless, of course, Commander Yang's there. Is it that guy? The blonde guy you're talking about? Paul Von Oberstein? I do forget their names, unfortunately. You're an STP, right, Scott Steiner? Makes so much sense if that's what you're talking about, if you're an STP. The guy with the prosthetic eye? I'll have to look at the picture. You didn't cause paranoia. You did successfully get banned with inadequate justification. So I formally acknowledge that. My bad. I'm going to Google a picture of Paul Von Oberstein, and then I'll know exactly who you're talking about. I believe this is a trap. Do you really, Paul Von Oberstein? Paul Von Oberstein served as both an admiral and Lohengram's. That's the main guy, huh? An advisor to Lowengram himself. Known for his ruthless nature and artificial eyes, Oberstein used every means at his disposal to obliterate the Golden Bomb dynasty and ensure Reinhard von Lohengram's rise to power. Oh, that's right. I forgot that part of the story. I more remember the Yang half of the story because I was rooting for the Yang half, No, it wasn't an apology. Nor was it like an apology. It was keeping my intellectual table clean and acknowledging that I made a mistake and that I regret it. because so I regret making the mistake because it was a mistake. It's inherently regrettable. But I'm not sorry because I didn't wrong you. I'm not sorry yet. Okay. In theory, I might be sorry eventually if I determine that I was both wrong in practice and wrong in principle. In other words, that I didn't just kick you out prematurely, but that I was wrong about who you are anyway. Then I might eventually, if I thought about it, but I'd probably forget about it by the time it would be relevant, but say, okay, I hereby apologize for prematurely kicking you out. Yeah, when I do something wrong, for sure. That's why I try to not like I try to keep a clean house, right? Like what I mean by keep a clean house is it's important that even though it might seem totally insignificant, right? You know, in any larger picture sense, it's completely insignificant. What happens regarding the banning of Miss Blumpkin? Okay, but around here, and to me, and to a lot of people who are around here, I think it does matter that it's not okay for me not to acknowledge that. However, my position is once I've acknowledged a mistake, if it was an authentic mistake, so this is sort of half and half. Like, if in fact there had been no link to the pole smoking joke with a rhyme, then I would have felt it sufficient evidence of troll collapse syndrome. No, I'm not going to unban you. I would have considered sufficient evidence of you know what's hilarious about it, Miss Blumpkin, too, about why I won't ban you? It's a catch-22 for you. You don't have standing anymore because you're no longer suffering any harms from it because you're still here. Of course, if you weren't here to complain about it, you wouldn't have an opportunity to complain about it. But being here complaining about it makes it so you don't have standing. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't in this situation. In other words, there's no remedy left for me to give that's not already attained by your new account.
Today is National Women's Day. What do you think about that?
National Women's Day?
Yeah.
I gave you the whole day?
Natural comedian.
What I think about it, I think it's silly, of course. You know, what does that mean? National? Am I like who? Can you imagine?
To go there.
Can you imagine me treating you differently because it's National Women's Day today than normal?
No.
If I did treat you differently today because it's National Women's Day, then and it's better in some fashion, then isn't there a problem with the other 364 days?
Yeah. I have a Sailor Moon picture though that says celebrate each other's success.
Hey, Miss Bumpkin, you know what you just did? You did something that I rarely see people do. You demonstrated that you had listened and understood something.
That doesn't happen.
Miss Bumpkin said, okay, I understand. You made a mistake and regret it, and it's not an apology, and you aren't going to correct it. Understood. Correct. That's you got it. You got all of the specifics down correctly. And I appreciate that. Good job. It seems to people who do it naturally, why would you get good job for just listening to somebody correctly? But a lot of people don't know how to listen at all. They don't even respond to you what you say at all. So, Eric, how would you deal with someone close to you have OCD? I have no idea because of all the psychology stuff I've talked about, one thing that I've never either really researched, so maybe very light casual, very little research, and never had any personal experience of, more importantly, is OCD. So I've never been around somebody who has OCD, so I don't feel like I have any understanding of what it actually is or what it's like. And so I've never, as a consequence, also it means I've not really had any reason to look into it, and so I just don't know anything about it really.
Yeah, you do. I did notice that, like, when things happen to you, then you research them.
Right. Yeah. So it's true with media too. Like, we keep oh, Miss Plumpkin did it.
What?
Miss Plumpkin, was your intuition right? Is there something off about me?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, full circle!
That's fantastic. Thank you, Miss Plumpkin. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's that thing. That cool TI chick was saying, or at least the cool thing that the TI chick said. I don't really know anything about that chick, but it was a cool thing she said. You know, I'll say the same thing. As a YouTuber, I get a lot of hateful comments. As host Eric, I get a lot of hateful comments, right? Now, not so much anymore, but I've gone through years and years of this shit. And if there's one attempt, if there's one kind of like epic fail attempt at spitting on me, that's like shockingly banal and worth pointing out as, if you're gonna shit on me, try a little harder than this at least, is this one, which I've heard 100 million times. My intuition was right. There's something off about you. You know, I was really hopeful you were going to be okay, but that confirms it. There's something wrong with you. So, yeah. I'll just say this. If you're doing that, it's just FYI, you're the 16th girl this audition who sang Frozen out of, like 20 girls. We're really tired of that one.
I love your sweet face.
I'm trying to write an ENTP with a boyfriend who has OCD, and I'm struggling how to decide how he might approach it. I mean, probably he would first say, it depends how old he is and how self-aware he is, right? It's like, if you're modeling a character a lot on me, they're not going to be a character that reads as necessarily fully ENTP, because, the type description stereotypes are stereotypes of a lack of awareness. In other words, when you reflexively attend in these ways and don't yet have enough perspective or awareness or whatever to do anything but perceive them as universalized and project them onto everybody, then you'll act like this. And you'll always act a little bit like that. That's sort of your raw form when either situations or either temporary situations or long-term situations or whatever strip away your growth or preclude it, then you end up stuck in that manifestation of self. I know you're not, but I'm saying, I mean, I didn't say I know you're not. I mean, I don't mean I know you're not. I'm saying I wasn't trying to say you were. I'm saying thank you for bringing me back on point, which is how old is the ENTP you're writing, and how grown is he? Do you want this person to be, or she? It's a girl, right? How old is this ENTP, and how grown is she? Right. So, Ms. Blumpkin, if I had, instead of making a mistake, wronged you, then I wouldn't just regret it. I'd apologize, and if I had wronged you in some sort of demonstrable way, try to make some sort of amends to it. But I don't believe I've wronged you. So the distinction is a meaningful one, and how you respond to this will. My intuition was right. I knew there was something off about you. He's 19, depressed, and on the verge of alcoholism. Okay, so in that case, he's going to try to pester the OCD person to explain their behavior with logical reasons. But why are you doing this? Okay, your answer doesn't make you already said yeah, and now you're saying yeah. I want you to explain it to me so I understand it. Why are you doing this? That's what he's gonna do, right? And okay, look, no, stop, listen. Okay, number one, stop deciding things with what you intuit or feel or remember or something. Okay, that's dumb. Don't do it that way. It's just gonna be like nonstop that. Really? So you think that because I don't agree with you here in this instance, that I can't own anything because I don't own this? Because I dispute that I should? You really jump to conclusions, very, very broad conclusions from very limited instances that are still in dispute, don't you? And you just love to presume the truth of that which is still in dispute, and then make SMH kind of comments thereafter and think you've accomplished something, don't you? Well, guess what, Plumpy?
Oh my gosh, you got the royal finger?
Ooh, that sounds good. Smoked ribs, huh? Scott Steiner smoked some ribs today, and he's going to eat them.
That's good.
You know, it's like he got a whole rack, and half of the rack he packed into bong ribs and smoked. The other half, he's going to eat them. It's both food for lung and stomach. Go away, Cloud. I want to smoke a rack of weed right now. I'm going to smoke a whole rack of weed. Oh, wait, we don't have any more weed. Oh, we do have weed.
We have some, right?
We actually have quite a bit of weed. We just don't have
pre-rolls, right?
Yeah, we just don't have bottle weed. You get the joint, and I get the joint.
Yeah.
We all will smoke together. Joint time, joint time, joint time, joint. It is a kind of feather. It tickles your lungs and it tickles your mind with a special tickly feeling and twinkly time and twinkly teen and twinkly teening. Okay, I'm teaming with twinkly teamings. I'm teeny with twinkly tweenings. this I want to transubstantiate to everybody, okay? And the reason I want to transubstantiate to everybody is in honor of Pretty Derby. I may have talked about it already on the live stream. I know I talked about it with Rachel and Delilah, but I don't know if I talked about it on the stream or not. Pretty Derby is a show I'm currently watching on Crunchyroll. And its premise, which is, I'm only like one episode into it, but its premise is that there are these they're human girls who have horse tails and horse ears. Other than that, they're human girls. Okay, they're not centaurs or anything, right? They've got regular human legs. And you've watched it, okay? I'm not saying it's good, Scott Steiner. I'm just enjoying the ridiculousness of it right now, because let me explain to everybody the premise of this thing. So there are there's in Japan, there's this league of horse racing called the Sparkle Derby, I think it's called. Is that what it's called, Scott Steiner? The Sparkle Derby? Something like that. Twinkle Derby? It's either Twinkle Derby or Sparkle Derby. And I'm not going to watch a lot of episodes of it. But the thing is, I mean, the thing is, I will absolutely will if I like it a lot. But I suspect I'm in the same camp as you on this, Scott Steiner, that I'm enjoying the campiness of it. But so far, it doesn't seem to really be developing any good storylines, you know? It doesn't seem to be developing any sophisticated storylines. It's just candy. It's something I might like pop back to occasionally when I'm in the mood for candy. I have very childish taste in media, at least in anime, in the sense that I want magic and dragons and swords and stuff usually, but I'm not childish in terms of my taste in narrative construction. So if the story is not well built and it's not well written, then I generally won't stick around for very long. It's got to have a pretty compelling storyline. But anyway, let me explain the world of this thing. So there are these girls who have horse ears and horse tails, and all they do in Japan is this species of human, for lack of a better term, is they participate in this Sparkle Derby horse racing league, right? Now, so it starts off with this new girl going to the horse girl school in Japan, the big name horse girl school in the city where all the best horse race girls come from. And it has this strange bi-reality occurring. One, they're human beings, but two, they're often treated like horses by human beings, by actual human beings in the show, right? So like when it starts, she goes to the racetrack to see her own kind race the track for the first time in the big city. And the guy who ends up being her trainer on her team from school, as he sees her by the rail, he goes up to her and starts feeling her legs and says, it's like, wonderful legs. This filly will really run well. And she goes, and kicks him. And she kicks like a horse. So, he flies all backwards and everything. And then she's afraid she's killed him. And turns out he's her trainer. The funny one example of how crazy this thing is the girls, when they race the race, they're put into gates like horses. Now, obviously, a gate in a horse race is there because the horses won't obey you to wait until they hear the gunshot before they cross the line, right? That's why they have gates. Because horses are animals, they have to have gates that open up in order to make sure they all start at the same time and have a fair start. But these people just have horse tails and ears and run fast. So why would they be put into gates? It doesn't make any sense. Now, here's what happens when one of the horse girls wins the race. she goes out to the winner's circle and it elevates into a stage and she becomes a pop idol and she sings a song of celebration while the audience, the horse racing audience that was a minute ago a horse racing audience, somehow turns into a stadium audience all swinging glow sticks back and forth and cheering on the teen idol singing their hit single. It's impossibly strange. That's the only expression I have for it. Impossibly strange.
It's just a winner of hearts.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier to Rachel, it seems like an ENTJ show because it's like some ENTJ with their 6 slot NE is going, NI tells me animal girl shows in Japan are popular. NI tells me teen idol shows in Japan are popular. NI tells me sports shows in Japan are popular. So I know, how about animal girls playing sports and then becoming teen idols? Genius. That's Elon Musk's anime idea. Okay.
Oh my god.
The concept of that show is, is Elon Musk builds his tunnel. It's like snakes on a plane. How did this make it all the way to being a full ass movie? It has no concept to it except snakes on a plane.
Hi, Pee. Are you scared because something's out there? Is trouble out there?
Grogu, I honestly thought people wanted solvency. I knew people like to vent, and I could appreciate that, but I became frustrated over time trying to find people who want to learn, think, philosophize. Learn, think, philosophize is Winston's mom's ESFJ sign on her wall. When she moved into the house, the former ESFJ who lived there had left Eat, Pray, Love up on the wall, and she took it down and replaced it with Learn, Think, Philosophize. How would a TI user deal with having OCD? To brief you on it, OCD is using rituals to gain perceived magical control over unwanted situations. For example, there's a woman who turned doorknobs to prevent her brother from dying. With having it? I mean, I don't think TI users are prone to having it really, probably. Like, I remember trying magical things as a kid and being disappointed that they didn't work. Because I never seem to be subject to confirmation bias, really. I'm not sure why. TI tool, maybe, especially. TI tool is overusing it. So it's overusing it to never be subject to confirmation bias, because that means you don't have a clear enough understanding of what you want to recognize when the logical truth, the words, the logical arguments being said in words don't matter, I mean, I guess TI-SE might do that. It would seem to me that any TI would be more likely to have their magical thing expressed as like, well, here's an example. I used to say when I was drunk a lot, I used to say, shame and anxiety, shame and anxiety, shame and anxiety, I wish I were dead. So I just hide happy and blessed immediately without even giving him a chance, or...
Let's give him a chance. So much.
Okay. Listen, we all know, so don't be afraid to pull the trigger and hide H and B if need be, okay? I did buy the house from an ISFJ named Angelica, and my dining room was a Waldy called Home Sweet Home or something like that. I need a guy to take it down for me, and when COVID is over, we'll get one. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna get
Maybe
one.
paint over it.
I'm gonna get one and put it up on in the Oval Office. It says, "Shame, scold, castigate." You know, today was a good day. It was a full day. I spent the morning shaming. I had a great afternoon of scolding, and in the early evening, I got to do a little castigating. I didn't have to use my AK. Today was a good day.
Yeah.
Oh, Rachel knocked her bong over and didn't break it today.
Yeah.
Today was a good day.
Yeah.
You know, normally Rachel's not only clumsy but unlucky too. So it's like I can knock my bong over 5, even if we had exactly the same bong. I could knock mine over a few times without breaking it. Then my luck runs out. Rachel can barely touch hers; it'll fall over and shatter into a million pieces.
Yeah.
So you know,
That is my luck when it comes to physical objects. In life, I'm a pretty lucky person. Like in the game of
Rachel, you're my favorite kind of racehorse. Remember I was talking about my favorite kind of racehorses earlier?
That means so much to me. Thank you so much.
And I'm the guy who claimed you when you were only a $40,000 claimer, you know.
Aww.
So I feel like it's a good call on my part, you know.
Yeah, it was a good call on your part. It really was.
Is this a private stream?
No, it's
Oh
not.
yes. We get very private here. Let me tell you some secrets. Do you know? I don't really have any secrets. Some secrets to tell. Do you know that once upon a time, someone came up to me and asked me if I'd ever noticed that I hate it when I don't know what the deal with something is? It's true. Today you learned. Oh, yes. You have to wear a members only jacket is the key. Well, 'cause I could tell you're not wearing a members only jacket. I can smell it on you. No members only jacket? You see, what do I got on? That's not a members only jacket, Eric. Okay, fine, it's not, but pretend it is, though. You're not supposed to be able to see me. How come I can't see you? This isn't fair. Our NI users are more prone to idealism. The consciousness is all there is. That consciousness is all there is. I think INFJs are well, yeah, actually both types, I guess. NTJs and NTJs probably more than NFJs. NTJs have this notion that it's possible to upload themselves, their identity, to digitally. Of course, it's not possible to. I mean, if this scares them away, I'm just talking about my normal thing, right? So I'm just talking about shit, right? So if that scares them away, then they don't want to be here. Obviously.
Do you think that Oprah would buy into Meghan Markle's bullshit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, it was really. I know, like, you can't tell everything from body language, and I'm like a really good example of that because, like, sometimes I'll be thinking one thing and my facial expression won't be expressing what I'm thinking about really. But it was like the body reading of like Prince Harry. Wow, I feel bad for that dude.
Hi, can you briefly compare TI polar versus TE polar? Thanks, please, and feel free to ignore. I'm not going to ignore it. Absolutely not. I will answer it. TI polar and TE polar. So you can think about TI in terms of abilities as the ability to defend with logic, argumentationally, a position. So if something passes TI muster, it wins the argument. It's correct. TE instead is turning a goal into a set of ordinal steps, or taking a problem and turning it into a desired solution, in other words, a goal, and creating a set of ordinal steps. You can't use extrovert thinking without there being some kind of goal in place. In other words, it's always fundamentally a means to attain something. Now, that doesn't mean as a value, it's not sometimes an end in itself for an individual, but the manner of attention is expressly instrumental. So, okay. TI in that regard is expressly determinate. It's like absolute in the sense that whereas TE gets you some place, TI determines what place you got to. Yes, Rachel is basically saying that if she's not saying it, I'm saying it. That Meghan Markle is full of shit. Yes.
That was my roundabout way, I guess. So well, no, because I want to know because ENFJ type. It was just yeah. I just wanted to know if like.
Well, my stinkometer goes off when I smell Meghan Markle. So anyway, I want to finish the TI polar, TE polar thing. I just finished explaining what they were. I didn't finish explaining the polar part. So let me do that first before we do the Meghan Markle thing. Of course. So the thing about the polar is then you can most easily understand TI polar as an inability to logically defend arguments and a refusal to consider that the determinant factor in any situation, more or less. We're not talking about the interview, Colin, Andy. We're talking about Meghan Markle.
I am talking about the interview.
Oh, well, I'm not. When I say Meghan Markle's bullshit, I'm not talking about any interview.
What I mean is, I don't think she bullshitted in okay, look. I didn't see the interview. I was just asking host Eric if he thought that Oprah would buy into any of the bullshit that Meghan Markle tries to sell, like anything.
So basically, Rachel's saying, I think Meghan Markle's full of shit. So when Oprah interviews her, I wonder if Oprah picks up on that or buys into Meghan Markle's bullshit. You know? She's not saying that. You're not listening. Meghan Markle cries crocodile tears. And you know what else? She pees alligator urine drops.
Wow.
Yeah, she sweats Gila monster sperm and is generally a big pain in the ass. Yeah, so TI polar is people can't defend their arguments or whatever, right? But TE polar is like what Rachel's TE polar. It's a lot less noticeable. The thing is, of course, TI and FE are your judgment communication functions. So they're going to be the most notable, followed up by extroverted intuition, which is like the third most notable because it's both talking based and extroverted. Followed by introverted thinking. Actually followed by introverted sensing, followed by introverted thinking. In terms of like easiness to pin down. The hardest to pin down ones are FI, SE, NI, and TE. Those are the hard ones to pin down because they're the real-time functions, not the turn-based ones. The turn-based ones demonstrate in ways that are much more easily tested because they have to work as communicative devices anyway. Well, Calamendi says Meghan Markle said in the interview that she was discriminated against by the family, was suicidal, so they needed to distance themselves from the family. So my position on that, Calamendi, is she's been nothing but a terrible partner to her man. In other words, I've never heard Meghan Markle speak one time about what's important to him. It's always about what's important to Meghan Markle. And she knew the situation she was getting into before she got into it. It's not like she was marrying the Stevensons. They put on a nice face at first, and then she got to know them. These are the British royals. She had plenty of time, plenty of information, plenty of access to all the information she needed to make an informed decision to do something that was good for both her and her partner. Instead, she's ruined her partner's life and beating her breast and woe is me. And I still haven't heard a fucking word about how any of this has impacted him or whether she cares about him at all, right?
Yeah. Someone said that in the interview he looked like a sim. What is a sim?
I mean, I'm not one to throw around dark triad things very often, but Meghan Markle smells strongly of dark triad shit to me.
Mm-hmm. She is. And she's having a second baby with him. Oh. She said that in the interview that a part that I saw that was in the trailer that they lost like everything.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it really. Now this is one place where no, not you, baby. It was actually it was right before the thing you said. I had FI. I realized, oh, this makes me feel sad. I don't want to think about this. So that doesn't happen all that frequently, but for some reason this does, I guess.
I'm glad you put up a boundary.
I just hate to think of it, well, because whenever I think of like dark triad-ish people, I feel the need to go stomp right on over there and watch them run in terror as I approach. For some reason, dark triad people can smell on me, dark triad hunter, and they go running in fucking terror and then try to snipe at me from the shadows for the rest of their lives. Facts. Best anime of 2021. Good topic indeed.
That is a good topic.
All right, so let me say first of all that watching the animes as I'm doing now, which is to say, I've watched all the major ones that are recent that have been completed. The ones that are ongoing, I'm up to date with that are in my style of thing that I like to watch. And so I'm getting to watch a lot of shows that I like on a week-to-week basis. Watching a lot of shows together on a week-to-week basis is a good way to compare them against each other. Because when you watch a whole show in a big chunk, you go, oh, I love that so much. And then you watch another whole show in a big chunk. Oh, I love it so much. It's hard. And then you watch a third one. It's hard to compare the third one against the first one, It's easier to compare the animes against each other depending on okay, well, Cal and Indy, there are acceptable and appropriate ways to deal with that, and unacceptable and inappropriate ways to deal with that. The way that she did expresses to me that she was looking for things to capitalize on rather than trying to be concerned with anybody but herself at any point, right? Have you ever heard her express concern for anybody but herself at any point? I haven't. She was suicidal. I'm not fucking liar. All right, enough, Callum, Mindy. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Red of Healer. I haven't heard of it. I have to check it out. Is it on Crunchyroll or tell me what it's on if it's not Crunchyroll, if you know. Where do you watch your anime, Scott Steiner? Where do you watch it? You're the most anime head I think I can identify around here. You seem to be as much of an anime head, if not more, than me. And I'm the most otaku of all the weebs.
You so are. I used to think I was a weeb. I'm not. I'm just an anime watcher.
High Dive? High Dive? Is that a site like Crunchyroll? Is it a different one? I'll look it up. I don't know why I'm asking you. Just Google it, retard. You know. I mean, I generally agree with you. Like I said, I've already indicated I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm expressing my personal belief, which is say, I don't believe her. This witness, I don't believe her testimony. I don't believe her from a lot of stuff, not this particular interview I'm talking about. I don't have any opinion on this particular interview. I'm talking about Meghan Markle in general. I don't believe her. I think she's a liar and a scoundrel. And so, yeah, I believe that that's a lie too. And that's okay. It's okay for me to believe that. It's not cool for you to embrace somebody lying about suicide. You know, you shouldn't use something that serious as a tool to get your way, right? It's not cool for you to support that, Callum. Why are you being so evil? Oh, maybe you don't like it when it's done to you? That's right. You're not evil. You're just wrong. Uh-oh. It looks like, yeah, neither position can be verified. I agree that. I'm not claiming that she definitely was lying, that I'm making the accusation. I'm saying it is my opinion that she's a liar. I don't believe her. As a juror in the game of life, I have the ability to use my own discretion to afford witnesses varying degrees of credibility. So in other words, I'm saying I don't find her a credible witness. And if you don't think that you have a responsibility to evaluate the credibility of the witnesses, then you are the one being irresponsible, not me. Probably better to err on the side of evaluating the credibility of the witnesses. And if you find them completely not credible, then presuming that nothing they say can be taken on face value. I mean, she's making public accusations about other people, remember? She is defaming others. Whether or not she tells the truth is important. Whether or not she ever seems to express any concern for other people is relevant to the question of whether she's dark triad. It is my opinion, not diagnosis, that she smells of it. And I don't believe her. I think she's a person of low character. This is just my personal opinion.
That's okay.
I'm not making those claims or accusations of anything about her. I'm telling you my personal opinion about her. She is making claims and accusations about the royal family and what they said. Whether they said it or not is incredibly relevant. And whether they said it or not is determined, at least in part, by whether we should trust this person and what she says. Until I hear some credible witness tell me that they said that, we have a responsibility to default to not accepting the claim as evidence. I'm not passionate. I just I see these opportunities to help people think better, and I want to convey them with a certain dramatic flair, I guess. It's just my nature. I don't know if you'd call me passionate. I'd say I'm childish in my emotions. That is to say, I'm expressive of what I'm feeling in the moment and expressive of how I think it ought to be expressed as well. And those are different things because I'm not always clear on how I'm feeling, but I'm very clear on like how the tone links to your perception of my presentation. Is there a name for it already, or should we call it the Jeff Shaw? So there's this technique, right, that I encounter periodically. Oh, I was meaning to tell you, Jeff Shaw. I saw a title from an email from you that says "Explain yourself," purported or so-called ENTP or whatever. I was gonna respond to it and say, look, if you want to talk to me, fucking call me, dude. Sometime when I'm not streaming and have an actual conversation with me. If you really want to talk to me that badly. I don't like to play enigmatic Jeff Shaw. You know, what makes you think it's gonna work this time?
Use me.
Oh, copy on me.
Aww.
Oh, Belle, we're out of. Oh no, we're not out of. We were smoking a joint. I don't really like that joint that much.
Yeah, no. Me neither. We are having food.
I mean, I guess it's not fair to Jeff Shaw to just dismiss his stuff as enigmatic gesturing, because it should be pointed out that as enigmatic gesturing, it does tend to spark a lot of actually interesting conversations about the process of enigmatic gesturing. This is unintentional, although one could conceivably imagine Jeff Shaw trying to position it as some sort of, there is a dispassionate, disinterested mastermind behind these displays. Try to position it like that, but soapbox. I want to talk about that. So, note, I'm currently not on a soapbox. I am on a soapbox every time I upload a video. So, what's the difference? When you're on a soapbox, it means you're preaching and everybody else is listening, or you don't care if they're listening. What I'm doing is having conversations with people. Some people come in adversarial and they want to make sure that the conversation results in them looking smarter than me or more intuitive or more correct or whatever. Some people are coming in with sort of an actual interest in learning things and have questions about cognitive function they want answered. Some people are coming in because I don't know why. I mean, ask yourselves those questions. Why are you here? No, a soapbox is different from a pedestal. A pedestal, you put something else on. In other words, you idolize something too much to put it on a pedestal. So if you were to use pedestal in critique of me, you'd have to say, I put Rachel on a pedestal. You wouldn't say I'd be on a pedestal myself. Being on a soapbox is the equivalent of putting yourself center stage. So that's a little different than a pedestal, because we typically use pedestal to talk about that which we look at and admire, not that which we stand on, right? So, Scott, is that you? Yeah, I think. I mean, it's like we have a lot of many people who think they're successfully being many Phoenix Santiagos. In other words, they want to play out the Phoenix Santiago scheme, but on a shorter time frame. And typically, I roll with it, depending if they're saying things that I want to comment on, It is possible to idolize yourself. Sure. I guess that would be paying a lot of attention to your existing achievements and your attributes. So, like, example of me idolizing myself, if I talked a lot about how I had a high IQ score, if I talked about how beautiful I was, if I talked about how, the thing is, the key thing about idolizing yourself is you have to be wrong. So one of the last hurdles of kind of optimization is for an ENTP anyway, is false modesty. False modesty is a tempting FE trap for ENTPs, and it's hard to be objective about things that sound self-aggrandizing because you open yourself up to critiques, like you put yourself on a pedestal, you idolize yourself, and yet in order to optimize, you have to own it. You have to own the best parts of yourself and be okay, saying the truth. And that's, for a TI person with FE third absolute value, that's the equivalent of the INFJs need in optimization eventually to say the TI, what's TI correct at the expense of FE, right? It's an kind of an equivalent thing. Yeah, I know, I've known that all along, Scott Steiner. This is the thing. It doesn't and that's what the whole title of this video is about. These people come in and other people think I'm worried that Eric's naive or something. But that's not the case. And let's say somebody were to successfully fool me for a period of a long time, pretend to be, let's say it turns out that Lauren Cuthbert this whole time has been Cloud. What? Note that it doesn't matter because I believe in Lauren Cuthbert. That means the actor is doing a good job of portraying Lauren Cuthbert. It's the same thing fundamentally. I don't assume necessarily that there's a body that has to be attached to that name. In other words, if you were to run multiple accounts under multiple identities and behave consistently and differently under each of those identities for a long period of time, as far as I'm concerned, you're three different people. So in other words, the falseness of it only hurts you. If you reveal that you actually aren't one of those three people, then I'll go, oh, I guess you were just playing that character for me, so I'd be able to do lines off of that character. Thanks for helping me practice my lines. See you later, Oh, you mean you were that other guy and now you're this guy and now you're also this guy? And so, oh, I get it. You were playing different roles for me so that I could practice my lines, but now you're tired of that, so you got to go. Okay, I get you. See you later. I don't give a fuck. They're spending their time paying attention to me one way or another. Let's say Callum Indy turns out to be a troll. You spend all your time paying attention to me tonight. You got me. Yeah, but you spend too much time paying attention to him, Eric. I spent some time paying attention because he's here. There's only 16 people here after all. Why wouldn't I pay attention to him? It's not like I've got 400 people who with legitimate shit going on and I'm paying only attention to the troll. The chat's pretty slow tonight. It's, there's been 2 chats by Winston's mom, and like one of them's directed specifically at Grogu. So I figure that's not really my conversation. There's a quote here that I didn't see as a quote at first, and I thought was part of that conversation because it didn't begin with a quote, which is, I don't believe that you can tell people anything. You can only draw them in, Bruce Springsteen. So, I mean, it's like, to some extent, that's true. But there's a lot of different ways of drawing them in. And telling them things is one way to do it. So, from an Enneagram's perspective, and Bruce Springsteen is definitely not that, but from an Enneagram's perspective, telling people things is how you draw them in. You draw them in with your correctness. You draw them in with the potential utility of the arguments you're providing. Because for people who are who've grown to a point where they can own the apprentice tarot card, put on the learner's hat. I've had to do this on a couple of occasions in my life, and it was tough at first because, you see, you come out of school. I never had to put on a learner's hat. I didn't have to learn anything to do it, right? That I didn't want to learn, like debate stuff. I learned stuff but it was all naturally occurring. Well, I want to, oh, this is a topic, okay, or this I want to adjust our app. Oh, here's a fun argument we could run. Let's try to find evidence of it. So then I went to college. I never needed to learn. Then I went into a job which was teaching special ed. I never needed to learn. Then I stopped teaching special ed and I went to try to teach regular education. And I discovered that I needed a skill I didn't have to perform the job correctly. That's the first time I had to learn, really. Which means put away your ego, put away your dominant nature, and say, okay, I'm not going to be the one who, and for me, I'm not going to be the one this time who tells the other person how they're wrong. I'm not going to be the one this time who knows how the frame invalidates this specifics. I'm not going to listen to Eric this time. I'm going to listen to Mr. Samuelson. And I'm going to get to E about it. I'm going to follow his instructions. He says, write down exactly what I do in class. I'm going to demo it. You do it after me the same exact way, and I'll watch you and see how close it is to the same. And, I had a come to Jesus moment. It was either check my ego and put on a learner's hat or get fired. But I liked the job. I saw that, I made a choice to be honest with myself. You suck at this, Eric. You suck because you assume you don't. Because you can't handle the idea that you might actually suck at this. So you refuse to learn anything. And humility is always the way to growth. It was for me when I was a drunk as well. I had to go into those AA meetings, and even though I've been to AA many times before, I had always gone in as Eric, NETI. I'm here to tell you how you're wrong. I'm going to know why their case falls apart. I'm going to know why it works for them, but it won't work for me because I'm too smart for it or whatever, all the various NETI things that people default to when you're an ENTP. I had to check those at the door and check my ego and say, okay, I'm going to listen and follow instructions. I mean, talk about contrary to the nature of an ENTP. But that's what it means to have a real ontological intersection, It's like, am I going to keep doing this for the rest of my life or not? I'm broken, miserable, ashamed of myself, sick, And I've been skittish and scrambling to hide this reality from people for too long now. I'm tired of being on the run. It's surrender, you know? Fuck it. Being Eric's not solving this. It's being Eric doesn't work, and Eric can't fix this. And I have to be humble and listen and acknowledge that they know more than I do. And that they have wisdom that I wish I had, and I would like to, or at least they have a lack of volatility that I wish I had, you know, because being a drunk makes you very, very volatile. Especially if you're an extrovert like me. You know, it was always a terrifying tour of discovery in the morning to determine whether I'd sent any emails last night. Not always, but often enough, right? Quite often towards the end, it's like, okay, because you start getting more of a drunk, you start being kind of a blackout drunk more often. You remember less. Towards the end, it's like a majority of nights I'd wake up in the morning and not really remember the night before. So you know, that's what I did. And if in fact humbling myself and learning from Jeff Shaw is gonna improve me, I'd love to do that. But I've already checked a bunch of times, and if he cared about trying to help me, he'd explain himself clearly, because gesturing an eye is not going to help me. He knows this, and he persists at it anyway. So either he's just banging his head against the wall, but is trying to help me because he's got such a poor sense of how to engage with me such that I understand that he doesn't know what else to do. Or, you know, like Vincent's mom says, more likely reaching out for help, you know. But I don't know how to provide that. I don't know how to provide that. Of course, FI is a slow and quiet function, you know? It's like, you want to talk about the world's boringest live stream? Watching somebody experience introverted feelings. You know, watching Eric process something with his feelings is the world's boringest live stream. Well, how do you feel about it, Eric? It's hard to say. I mean, I should title a live stream, How Eric Feels About, yeah. And then just, or just upload a video. You know, Eric demonstrates FI. How do I feel about him? Well, I mean, like physically, I feel fine. I guess it's kind of like, how do I feel about it? like, what exactly do you mean? Like, am I gonna go there or get that, or I don't understand. Can you explain what you mean more? Like, why are you asking this question? What kind of answer is an answer that would be useful to you? Like, for example, if I were to say I was sad and I wanted to render that information useful to you, how would I explain it? Like, oh, I'm sad as defined as bam, 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 bam. So since you're trying to make an argument using the fact that I'm sad, no problem. Oh, I get it. Then let's define sad like this. Right. Now I understand my emotions fine. Sad is the argument that defines sad like this and uses it as a warrant to justify meow. Great. I understand emotions. Well, those, of course, aren't actually FI. That's me transitioning from a video of me FIing to a video of me TIing.
I was thinking about getting an ice cream sandwich. Would you like one?
No, I wouldn't, but I'm excited to see you get one.
Cool.
Calamandy, my intuition was right. I was hoping, but there's something off about you. Yeah, they always collapse. They can't help it, right? The spike just gets to them. It's like, and I guess like probably Cal and Indy was thinking for quite a while that that's why I like to not reveal necessarily for play along. I imagine Cal and Indy was thinking probably quite a while that he was fooling people or something. I mean, I knew like almost maybe the second thing he said, I could tell. But like happened last time, there's no good to jump the gun because I get scolded. Even if I'm right, for good reason. That's why I don't jump the gun. It's also funny because, of course, Callum Indy in various guises has spent the last 2.5 hours of his life attempting and failing to troll me while continually paying attention to me and hating me to the depth of his being. It's fucking awesome beyond compare. It's the ultimate, I don't do anything and the karma is automatic, you know? At some point, that person either recognizes that there's no way for them to win by feeding the machine more quarters, right? But I mean, yeah, that's the only kick I get out of it, right? So the key thing is Oliver Linehan is ban them when they get boring. So as soon as he got boring, bam, he's gone. That way it's not a problem. That way they put all the work in and then they get none of the payoffs. It makes it extra hilarious. Go look at her old stuff before she started pretending to be one, or even the type police of her. She doesn't act like one either in the way she responds to the disputes. Are we talking about Lijo and whether she's an INTJ or an ESFP? What did I type police her as? I don't know. I don't remember. Did I say she was an INTJ? Did I say she was an ESFP? I don't know. I don't remember what I typed her as. She comes around here periodically.
She does.
So she's probably not mad at me, I guess.
No.
Did I type her? Yeah, I typed her as ESFP. Well, I mean, I don't care if she's an INTJ or not, right? It's like I don't want to start fights with that shit. That's the thing. I don't want to start fights about that shit. That's part of why I don't do type police anymore. Third slot absolute value FE. It seems stupid because I can't prove the point either way, right? It's not definitive. Until it becomes all science, not art, at which point it becomes uninteresting, frankly, then it's no point in arguing about it, really. I can point out why my explanation is way better than yours, but I can't definitively establish. I really don't know, because I don't remember what she's like. I only encounter her around here now, and I just have vague memories of seeing something. I remember what she looks like, kind of, but I don't remember what she acts like at all. So I have no opinion about it, and prefer to have no opinion about it. I just operate. But here's the thing: if you pay close attention, I only ask very few people, like, meow, 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 meows are like meow. Is that consistent with your experience? Meow? The ones that I have confidence are the type they say they are. I have confidence that Desert INTJ is an INTJ. So he's somebody that I might ask, is that consistent with your experience, Desert INTJ? And there are some people that I wouldn't ask that question of. And if you were to pay a lot of attention over time and make a lot of data points, you could probably deduce what my opinions are by who I don't say or ask certain kinds of things to, But that would take a lot of work. And nobody's going to do that work. So oh, well, yeah, there's always that as well. When you're talking about people in the chat, it's very difficult to ascertain for sure that the person in the chat is, in fact, the person they claim to be. It's easy to ascertain for sure that this is host Eric you're talking to, because you can see me and hear me. Now, I would point out this. If a fake host Eric were to respond to your comments, I don't think they'd last very long before people started going, even if they were trying to sound like me, if they're not an ENTP anyway, they wouldn't last very long before people started going, that's not Eric. Did I project my frame bias against SI? My bad. Sorry, Oliver Linehead just gave me a ticket for projecting frame bias in a non-projection zone. Flag, projecting frame bias in a non-projection zone, 15 yards. Yeah, it is hard to determine from text. I've already made this statement multiple times. I'll repeat it again. I officially claim the following or affirm the following. I can't type people from the chat. No, I'm unable to do so. And in fact, I know this because I've attempted to type somebody from the chat on a few times before and been, like categorically wrong when I actually talk to them.
Yeah.
So I know I can't trust my typing of people from the chat.
This is true. He typed me as he guessed I was ISFP or INFP based on chat. And when I actually got my typing, realized that I was nothing close
you were
to that.
FE, yeah. Not FI.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, it does seem like it would be. Be hard to collect data in general, that much data, but like Oliver Linehand says, SI people keep track of it naturally a lot more. The thing is, the kind of data that I'm talking about, namely a slightly different speaking approach towards different people, and what that is revelatory in general about the speaker's attitude, is more of an FE consideration than it is a TI consideration. So it would make sense that I happen to be talking about it right now, incidentally. So it would make sense that Oliver Linehand would would derive the meanings that are to be derived on those channels of information on a more deft level than me. After all, he gets something in exchange for deriving information, or for, paying attention to the information relevant to TI. He gets, you exchange. It's always an exchange in cognitive functions. So a TI tool means both that I can demonstrate TI better than TI third, but more importantly, what it means is that I'm paying attention to data that is meaningful to logical analysis. That's what it means to use TI, to pay attention to data within a logical analysis frame. So when I'm paying attention to my own possible words, I'm parsing them very carefully to make sure I don't speak in a way that's more metaphorical than it needs to be, for example. And I'm trying to explain things in ways that don't require you to make a big leap in terms of jargon. This is what I'm generally focusing on right now, is trying to explain things more organically. So I would say that every time we talk about cognitive functions, it's important to remember that you're paying attention means different things depending on the kind of function. Paying attention with TI means asking questions to pin somebody down. It means parsing out words to figure out whether they make sense, whether they're consistent, how robust they are, or whatever. And so, because there's an attention paid to that level of depthness to the language, specifics in terms of what it means, the words, there's accordingly less attention paid to what the person means in terms of their perceptions and their overall state of being and stuff like that. So I guess in this example with Oliver Linehan, picking up on subtle ways in which I speak differently to different people is information that I wouldn't pay attention to because I'm looking at the words specific to that person. And so I typically miss that step of FE in general. Like, I'm aware of how my FE impacts you. I'm not aware of how my FE impacting you impacts Joe. So in other words, or I'm aware of how my words impact you under an FE frame, whoever the you is in this instance, not anybody in specific, but I'm generally not ever thinking about how seeing Joe be corrected by my TI in some fashion might affect Steve. Occasionally, if there's a very dramatic thing, like I've got two combatants in front of me and I want to show that I'm fair to both, that will happen. But if there's sort of ancillary impacts like that are not implicit to the situation, then I'm not going to notice those nearly as much as an FE tool user. That's an example of FE being more deft in the tool user than in the third slot, a corollary to the TI being more deft in the tool slot than in the third. Who's Steve? Steve's the name of my ball sack. Jeebus makes no bones about it. He's here to get timed out.
What?
And he's not afraid to say it loud and proud.
What?
He knows he's going to be provocative. He might endure a few timeouts. He's not here to get banned, right?
Right.
Now that's a professional troll. That's a real troll's troll. You know, he knows how to ride the waves so that he can continue to troll without getting banned, you know. Most of that's the thing. That's the difference between a good troll and a spite monkey. You know, a good troll knows how to ride the waves. A spite monkey just wants to shit on Eric and is trying to trap me in some stupid ass way that they're never going to succeed at. You know, and they don't seem to ever learn, despite failure after failure after failure after failure. They continue to play this silly game, and I mean, who knows why? Probably because it's, I don't know who it is. Who knows who it is? I mean, I can be in theory, but what the whole point of this, the title of this video is, even if you trap me, it's still not a trap in some sense, because when I say, you know, I believe in quinceañera golden, well, I believe in Octavio Silva or something, that person is a person. I have actually spoken to Octavio Silva face to face, but if I hadn't, I would still say it doesn't matter, you know, what their physical body is. As long as that character is consistent here, then it's like me saying I believe an actor when they're reading lines. I'm interacting with that character. I'm not interacting with any people, really, you know, in the sense that I don't see any of your bodies or faces or hear any of your voices. So it doesn't matter if you fool me, because at the end you reveal, I'm John, but I'm also the person you thought was Tom. I say, oh, good job, John. You did a great job of playing Tom for me and being the foil in that capacity. You sure have put a lot of your time and energy into helping me out with my chops here. I appreciate it. If they're trying to be spiteful, then that's not going to be very gratifying to them. If they're just doing it for like an art project, then it's not going to bother them. If they are doing it because they're trying to like establish a narrative of what a good troll they are, well, that's art project-y. Good for them. I don't know what other reason they would be doing it for. Yeah, I could play a welcome back song on the guitar. My only problem is I really feel a poo coming on.
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure I should. Right, so Quinceañera Golden could be running every account here that I haven't spoken to face to face. It wouldn't matter to me, really. If she successfully fooled me and created all these characters and I've been interacting with them and she's been able to juggle keeping them all separate and keeping their identities consistent across time so I don't catch on, I mean, more power to you. It doesn't take away from my experience at all. I don't need you to be real. I know I'm real, and I know I have characters who are updating in real time to give me things to interact with. I believe in Winston's mom. I don't think she's a fiction. Well, the thing is, the key point here, Scott Steiner, on the Marshall's FBI thing is you talked to me about an advocacy I was unfamiliar with, and that almost never happens. So I just said regarding that, it sounds plausible based on your initial introduction of the idea to me, and it sounds like it might be a good idea based on what you're saying, but until I evaluate it independently, I don't have a position on it. It just acknowledge that I'm not automatically, instantly against it because of some sort of TE reason that I'm using as a TI justification, basically. I mean, great. There's still a fundamental economy here. So my saying that I figured them out when they're really continually fooling me and they're laughing and rolling on the floor being spite monkeys, they still aren't successfully being spiteful. In other words, there's still an economy here, right? they're putting a whole lot of energy into trying to fool me. And then when they succeed, I go, wow, that was impressive. You've totally fooled me. I mean, where's the payoff? Here's my point about that also is, to be a good person, I have to afford some basic trust that to somebody that I don't know. Now, in real life, the same person can't come up to me and take advantage of that default trust more than once, right? So if someone comes up to me and goes, hey, I wonder if you could tell me what time it is. I'm looking to get to the bus stop over there. And you look at your watch and they punch you in the face. You can do that once. The next time you see them, you're not going to let them do it again. But around here, because people aren't bodies and faces, but rather characters and words, somebody can try again and again and again. Still, I totally fail to see how that hurts me. It's not like any exchanges are won by the trolls, right? A lot of times, what I really appreciate about people who are spite monkeys and try to come in here and get me is they make poorly considered accusations, which I then have a perfectly good reason to respond to because they're defamatory. And in doing so, of course, I get to talk about why they're wrong. If they're wrong about me being bad, why they're wrong is because I'm good. So it's an FE safe way for me to explain and answer every possible bullshit attack that people could possibly make. So when Obi-Wan Kenobi, see, now that's good trolling, Jeebus. That's good trolling, right? Can we get a hand for Jeebus, please? Thank you. It's nice to have a professional troll around here instead of just, weak ass spite monkeys. Jeebus writes, holy shit, Eric, how long are you going to talk about yourself? That's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Do you know any ESFPs and ENFPs that can come on and debate each other? I mean, I just, I just can't stand it. It's like torture, man. Look, everybody here probably realizes that the only T-ball game you want to watch is the one involving your own child. Nobody's excited to watch the T-ball league. Okay. The only possible reason to invite an ESFP and ENFP to debate each other is to laugh at them. And that's not helpful. It might be fun, but it is not helpful. You're going to email you a copy of your last note. Your last note to whom? It's like, hey, my name's Eric. I'm making a channel. On my channel, I'm doing this series of things where I talk about common mistakes and failures to use logic well and reasoning well, and what it means to prioritize your feelings, making decisions and stuff like that, and just generally, I need a lot of examples of wrongness. So I wonder would you be willing to debate somebody on my channel? So yeah. Wait, what? Wait. Are you saying I'm wrong? Wow. Look at that. TI polar, and you figured that out. I am really impressed. Eric, I sent you links to a couple short clips. Would you help me type someone? Yeah, okay. Are they in my email right now or what? We have to go to the weed store? Oh, yeah, we do. We still need to go to the weed store. What time is it? 7? All right, let me do this then. Rachel and I need to go to the weed store pretty soon, but not right this second.
Yeah,
You know?
pretty soon.
Oh,
Good
but see, you never learn, quinceañera golden, do you? You never learn. When's the right time to do something? Right now. When's the wrong time to do something? Any other time? No. Jeebus. Well, are you going to email it right now, though? Or are you going to email it later? Okay. If you're going to email it right now, fine. I don't need you to have already emailed it. I need you to have already prepared it so you don't have to make the video still that you want to send me. That's what I don't like, is when you're that far away from the action. Jimandim di damun drucken, to press your thumbs for someone. I feel like you owe me a typing, Jeeves. I want you to type me. Why do I always have to be the one doing the typing? Why don't I ever get typed?
Someone wants to interview you. Did you see that email?
No. Is it recent?
It looks like it's from this morning.
This thing?
Richard Gannon.
Let me search. Oh, there.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Do you want to go into the bedroom? Oh, wow. Let's go. Wow. Let's go.
Thanks for that, Rachel.
You're welcome. Wow. Oh.
And Negro, try type, test yourself. Okay, let me respond to this. Okay, I understand and will comply with your terms and conditions, or I will remove the term. Thanks for your email. I'll have this done within 24 hours. Here. All right. So Catherine Favre's legal team or whatever has sent me an email telling me I can't use the word tri-type. without agreeing to their terms and conditions. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of the word. I'm going to call it, come up with a better word for it.
Yeah.
Do I have an opinion on the British monarchy? I mean, in general, no, not really. I have, if you want to say, like, do I have an opinion on something specific about the British monarchy? Maybe I would. But, yeah. It's a copyrighted word, she says. It's like basically she trademarked the term. So, you know, no, I shit you not. I'll read the email to you.
It's legit.
Please see the request from Catherine Favre Consulting below. Since Try is trademarked, you need to use the trademark symbol and state that it is a copyrighted original body of work created by Catherine Favre. Furthermore, please note the following. It cannot be used as a title or subtitle to advertise a class, etc. The term cannot be used in a title or subtitle to promote a person's view or opinion. It cannot be used without Catherine Favre's permission. It must include the accurate history and usage. It must include a link to Catherine's website, as well as Catherine's tri-type information. The term cannot be used on a site that has advertising. It must have Catherine's definition of tri-types. This is the video in which you did not give proper attribution or use correctly. So I'm just going to change the title.
Thank you, PT. I love you too.
Okay.
I love the P and the P. Mommy and Daddy love PP Strauss. Yes, PP, it's true. Mommy and Daddy love the P and the P. Kitty Patch winner.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this video down. How many views does it have? And I will make a new video in a little bit that, not right now, but at some point, that does the Enneagram trio type,
There you go.
and yeah, both begins and ends with an explanation that since the community at large needs to have a term that we can use to talk about, and since the community at large is comprises the vast majority of people who are interested in tri-types, and since her approach comprises essentially an assault on every other maker who wishes to talk about her ideas, that we adopt a different term for it en masse. I'm going to add that at the beginning of every Enneagram trio type video that I make, and I might be motivated now to make a few just to do
So
that.
do I.
So, it's like there's definitely I'm definitely excited to have gotten this email. It's like I love it when people try to pull shit like that. I don't give a fuck. It's like I'm not worried about taking down my video or I'm not gonna change my shit to meet your terms and conditions, right? No way. But I realized something. I'm gonna have to make it more than unlisted. I have to take it down all the way. So let me fix that. Yeah, like I'm gonna put all that shit in and play with your, jump to your tune like that. The fuck I will. Oh my God. Never in a billion years. So, that's nice. That's fun as a consequence, because I don't really care about the video, it just seems fun to me. Like, ooh, silly person. You're so silly. And because I'm not, I mean, how many videos I make a tri type? It doesn't impact me at all. It's like, it's not like 3/4 of my videos are about Enneagram tri types or something. So whatevs. This video has Nick in it too. I'm sure it's not that great. Let me just, I'm going to delete this video. No, I'll put it on. Yeah, I guess I'll delete it. All right. Show all. Yeah. I actually have quite a few videos. I have like 15 videos that are going to be impacted by this. Now I'm going to have to actually look at this thing here. Can I use a title or subtitle? That's obviously in text. So, so I guess I'll do these one at a time. God damn it. Get rid of the word tri-type. I'll put trio type. Okay. Trio type. It's in the picture too. Change the picture to this. I don't know if there's a thumb either. Okay. That's one. Okay. All right. Yeah. Delete all that crap. And get rid of that. Yeah. Save it. And I'm done. Now, number 3. This is such a tedious process. I had to take out the word try-to-have entirely. I don't need any of these old broken links, obviously. Catherine Favre can totally suck it. That's the description of this video now. So that's what you earned, Catherine Favre. You can totally suck it.
You know, she considers herself to be a 7, 8, 4.
Right, but I mean, and even not even. I said, well, once I'm done with all this shit, I'm gonna say to her, it's another, say, okay, I've completed that. Just FYI, this whole body of work thing, right? If you really cared about your body of work, you'd want it to be subjected to scrutiny, not insist that which deviates from it is wrong. So I don't respect you as a thinker, although I do respect you as the person who came up with the idea of tritypes. You're a shitty human being for doing this, because you're reducing ability of people to meaningfully critique what you've done.
Right.
And that's a horrible, horrible thing. I can explain that to her in certain terms, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Regards, Eric. After I've complied with all of her bullshit, I can point out, as somebody who's done a shit ton more work and a shit ton more meaningful work than Catherine Favre, I have nothing but contempt for her lack of regard for scrutiny. It's like, no, woman, don't be saying you have work done if you're telling me it can't be scrutinized properly. Then you're a shame monkey. You're not a spite monkey, but you're a shame monkey. Those are different things, right? Catherine Favre doesn't like her work subjected to scrutiny. So she's asked me to take away the word she claimed as her personal property. This she justifies by having spent 25 years working on it. If that's what you got done in 25 years, then she must be eager for it to gain popularity and withstand disinterested scrutiny. Disinterested evaluation. Instead, she wants to own the term she coined. If coining terms makes one the owner of them, I'm gonna need a massive storage shed. What a maroon. Now she gets my foot up her ass. Now she's irritated me. And pleadingly requested a thorough ass kicking. A thorough dressing down. Go with that. Bad idea, Catherine Favre. Bad idea. I'm going to say a lot of well-spoken words of contempt about you. And your name's going to be all over my website now. Now you're super famous for your tri-type. Catherine Favre.
This is why I love you.
What a gash. What a country without a re, you know?
Yeah.
Just delete this one because it's only got 2 likes and 200 views since 2017. Just delete it. Fuck it. 37-minute long video of a tri-type 137 or 731. That's any good. Some of these though have quite a few views, so I should probably leave those ones. Like this one. And Peow. 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 Save. Okay. So much work, Catherine Favre. God, why do you make me do this work? I don't like it. Catherine Favre, making me work, making me essay a bunch of stupid shit. I don't like to do that, Catherine Favre. You have made me do stuff I don't like to do. Guess what? I don't like to do that stuff, obviously, as is evidenced by the fact that I already declared I don't like to do it. So Catherine Favre needs to learn some lessons, needs to learn some very important and valuable lessons. It's pretty clear she does. I'm not going to lie. She's made a big mistake, and it's been born of her ignorance, and that's why she needs to learn lessons. Like, ouch! Eric's saying bad things about me because I'm so dumb. I wish I hadn't been so dumb. But too late now, Catherine Favre. You were so dumb. How dumb were you? So dumb, you sent me that email. So now you've done it. That's what happens when you're dumb like that. Not your fault. You were born that way. My intuition was right. There's something off about you. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo. Okay. Well, let's see. This one? Well, shave. This is so unpleasant. Did I do that one? No. Don't be a jerk. The moral of this story. Catherine Favre. Don't be a jerk. That's the moral of this story. Don't make me do this dumb work that I don't like. That's the other moral of this story. Catherine Favre. How many more are there? Oh, so many more. Wait. Maybe there's just one more? Oh, do you see how painful this is for me? Everybody who's being ignored in the chat right now, and I'm not looking at the chat, of course, because why not? Well, I'm having to face Catherine Favre videos. There, I think I'm done, actually. Let me see if there are any more tri-types. Zero videos that are tri-types in it. I'm done.
Good job.
Thanks a lot, Catherine Favre. How do you full screen this? There, like that. All right, we're going to the weed store. See you later, everybody.
You're making some wonder.
Thank you, darling. Jeebus. Hey. I may be fugly and I may be a man, but I don't not have my shit figured out. Okay? It's done already. And that is my own time. My time is here doing things. Your time is apparently here listening to me do things. But that's up to you. Goodbye, everybody. I love you all, even you, Jeebus. And don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.